I think a lot of people will pause episode 3 for a few scenes.
I understood that reference.
Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I'm the Monio, the interdimensional demon who talks about Vox Machina the most on YouTube, and you're on my channel. We finally have the third season of the series, and before we continue, a question. Do you also have the feeling that this will be the last season of the series? All the characters have already had some kind of development arc, especially in the second season, and now they will probably face the final villain, so we can say that if the series ends this season, we've had all the development necessary for a cohesive and well-made story. But of course I would like us to have more seasons. I don't follow the Critical Role guys, but they seem to be very creative and have a lot of cool ideas for the series. Maybe those who follow their work more will have a better idea of whether or not the series will continue. If you are one of those people, please leave your opinion in the comments. The first episode starts off very well with Vax invading the dragon's lair and seeing its eggs that are about to hatch, which conveys the sense of urgency that the characters are facing to defeat the villain, and the episode makes a point of showing how imposing and powerful he is, probably the most powerful enemy they have ever faced, being practically invincible. Then a MacGuffin is presented, which is basically an armor that can defeat dragons. Our heroes begin a quest to obtain this armor, and we have our beginning of the season. One thing that I really liked and that is established right in the first episode is that one of the themes of this third season will probably be the relationships between the characters, considering that each character has already had their moment of development, showing their traumas and their vulnerabilities. It makes sense to deepen their development through relationships. In the first episode, we finally have a kiss between Keyleth and Vax, but he has a vision of the death of his companions during the kiss, which I found very interesting, assuming that this season will deal with destiny, which is something we already saw at the end of the second season, when Vax tells his companions that they were destined to kill the dragon that spits acid, even though at that moment it seemed impossible. And in the end, Vax's vision came true and they managed to kill the dragon, showing that the destiny seen by the goddess of the crows really happens. Since we had an example of Vax's predicted destiny coming true, this will make the dynamic of trying to find a way to change this destiny even more interesting, and this will probably draw a parallel with the relationship between the two, since Vax is reluctant to have a relationship with Keyleth, precisely because he thinks that the two have very different destinies. It remains to be seen whether the series will choose for the two to fight together against destiny and end up together, or if Vax will actually give up this love as a way to prevent that terrible destiny from happening. In the second episode, we have our heroes going after the MacGuffin, and bumping into Anna Ripley, a character from Percival's past who was a surprise to me, since I only remembered her from the first season, but after rewatching the end of season 2, I saw that she was actually in the season and in the final battle. I just didn't remember. One piece of advice I give to help you better understand some things is to rewatch the last episode of the second season, since we are watching a direct continuation of that episode. When I watched it, I was surprised, because I didn't remember that the dragon they killed was the one that spat acid. I had a false memory that they had defeated the ice dragon. So if you can, rewatch at least the fight with the dragon, which I think will help you a lot to understand some things. I confess that I found Anna Ripley's plan to democratize the weapons technology created by Percival to be promising for the rest of the world. It's interesting if you consider that Anna Ripley is a scientist and an ordinary human. This makes sense from the point of view of who the character is, but I found her plan a little poorly developed, since she wasn't developed enough to make this idea sound more believable. However, I believe that the character wouldn't return if she didn't have a greater long-term goal within the story. And also in this episode, we have the reinforcement of the relationship between Percival and Vexalia, which is another dynamic that will be worked on throughout the season, since they are probably the couple that fans most root for to get together. We also have Scanlan's side story with his daughter, and he's the only character who's still having his own development arc that started in the second season, which is basically a redemption arc, since he's the stereotypical womanizer, vain, and empty character, but he's trying to find his worth and prove himself to his daughter. Scanlan's scene with Pike is a consequence of this arc of Scanlan's wanting to become someone better, and I believe they'll also end up together, since they're also clearly a couple, but Pike is still having doubts about it. I really like Scanlan. I think he's a really cool character, and I'm rooting for him to be able to redeem himself. In the third episode, we have some peculiar scenes between Percival and Vexalia. And for those who still had doubts about whether they were really a couple, this part cleared up everyone's doubts, and this will serve to develop their relationship. When Percival asks Vex'ahlia what they are to each other, and she answers that she doesn't want to have a serious relationship, because everyone she loves eventually dies. And I would say that this is probably the best developed relationship in the series, since the first season. The fact that Vex'ahlia doesn't want to deepen her relationship with Percival for fear of losing him is a reflection of her past, which was shown in the second season, and the way she sees the people she loves. The episode ends with some members of Vox Machina going to hell, and the betrayal of the Dragon Girl, and one of the things that makes me think that this could be the last season is the fact that only the Ice Dragon remains to be defeated, besides the Fire Dragon, since the Acid Dragon was defeated at the end of the second season, and the Poison Dragon is betraying the Fire Dragon. One thing I wonder is which of the team members will wear the dragon-killing armor, but I believe it will be Vax, as it would make total sense with his character arc, since he is the only one so far who is aware of a possible dark fate involving the team, and will possibly do everything to change this fate, the most direct way to do so being to defeat the Fire Dragon. In the next 9 episodes, we will probably have the defeat of the Ice Dragon, and the confrontation of the main dragon, and considering the number of episodes, there will be time for the final villain to be defeated, and this indicates that we will possibly have the end of the series this season, or at least the end of the dragon's arc. I researched some information, and until the time of recording this video, we have no official information about how many seasons the series will have, so we can only speculate. I am really enjoying this third season. For me, it is maintaining the quality that was already great, with a very well-made script and developing the characters very well, and that is not easy. There are many animations that are good, but that fail to create a good protagonist, either due to lack of charisma, or because the character is not very interesting, and here we have 7 main characters, very different, with distinct characteristics and personalities, and all very good. I really think it's a shame that this series doesn't have as much hype as other animated series like X-Men 97, for example. This is a bit worrying, since the third season took a while to be renewed, which usually doesn't happen with more popular series. I would hate to know that the series might not be renewed because of possible low ratings for such a good series. But what do you guys think of the season? Leave it in the comments, and if you liked the video, subscribe to see the next content. Until next time, my people, demonic hugs.